Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Clay Link here with Todd Zola of RotoWire and Masters Ball. Always great to be talking with you, Todd. We'll be grading out all of next week's two-start options on a 0 to 5 scale. I'll also just go over some of the RotoWire Stake League pickups. Kind of a quiet week, but a reminder to always put in your bids because I got Daniel Lynch. I desperately need some starting pitching help, so got him for only 4. I thought that was pretty reasonable. Todd, how are you today?
I'm doing well. The been a rough week weather-wise in general. Things seem to be turning this weekend, so hopefully get out and do a little bit of walking and other things. And things are fine. Nice,
good to hear it. I mentioned last week that I am half vaxxed, so I am in that 3-week limbo period, but looking forward to being fully vaxxed and enjoying the summer. Did the Albert Pujols news catch you off guard yesterday? I think we all kind of seems like that was kind of hanging over everybody for like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it happened, the way that it happened, it did kind of catch me off guard. I mean, I don't know. It's such a rock and a hard place, and they put themselves in that position. The Angels did. Maybe they should have done the offseason. Maybe, I don't know, but he didn't help himself out, being upset that he didn't start against Ryan Yarborough, who's got really good numbers against. So it caught me off guard in that the suddenness of it. I'm not surprised, but I didn't expect kind of out of the blue, out of nowhere, to just hear it. And it was weird, too, that it came on a day where the Angels sort of was the only, the way the schedule worked out, it was only one game at the time. So, the broadcast was able to do a little something special and et cetera before Ohtani took over again. Man, he's good. But
really good.
It's insane. And I tweeted, I know off topic, but when he first came up, my projection was basically Sean Rodriguez at his peak. That's how much I was off on Shohei Ohtani as a hitter. But man, anyway, but back to Pujols. Wow. People that are just joining fantasy or baseball in general, say in the past 10 years, have no idea. No idea. And our buddy Rob Silver tweeted this out. Stanton's current numbers that everybody's wowing over, Pujols did that for 10 years. It's just crazy. He was, I don't know how many hitters are feared today, right now. When they go up to the plate, how many, hitters are feared? He was feared. It was, I talk about stories I saw him at the AFL too, but it's just kind of a shame that people kind of baseball recently did not see the machine, if you will.
Yeah, he was a machine. Absolutely. No better, more consistent hitter that I've seen in my lifetime. He just dominated the Reds. It seemed like every time he was up.
Well, dominated everybody, really, right?
He did. He absolutely did. I did kind of see. I was watching the game, and I mentioned it on the Prospect Pod. He just looked so old the other day, and I kind of was like, I mentioned that playing him every day is doing, or as much as they are, was doing that team a disservice.
Yeah,
doing 2 of the best players in the world a disservice. And the end came a little quicker than I thought, but just watching that game, he just looked a couple plays where he just had to run even a little bit, and he just looked kind of decrepit. It was kind of sad, but he was great. Inner Circle Hall of Famer, probably not a first ballot because they're probably, unanimous because there's only been one, right?
Mariano.
Yeah, Mariano Rivera, and some a-hole will vote against him to keep it not unanimous. But that's just how it goes. But I did mention I got Daniel Lynch for $4 out of 100. I need pitching help. I dropped Taylor Trammell finally. Jared Kellnick, by the way, 2 homers yesterday in his AAA debut. That's a grievance. Is going to be something eventually. But I got him for 4. He was not the top pickup. Top pickup was Josh Naylor for 9. Leury Garcia for 4. Harrison Bader for 4. I kind of like Bader as a power speed pickup here.
Mm-hmm.
Leury Garcia, too. It seems like, with Luis Robert out, could be him. Maybe they bring in Pujols, the White Sox.
That's already been ruled out, but yeah, that's what
Has it been ruled out?
I heard. Yeah, I heard it. I mean, the two things everybody is saying is Tony La Russa will want him, and that the Cardinals should sign him, for a one-day contract and let him retire. I think if there's a doubleheader in St. Louis, maybe you bring him in as a 27th man, so you're not hurting your roster that day, and then let him retire. Who knows? But I mean, to me, back to Buchholz, I thought the original plan was to use him, kind of periodically, and maybe once every series give him a goodbye. Let him go on, get either pinch hit or start one game a series to say goodbye to the fans, and kind of have a tour the entire season. But once they started to play him every day or nearly every day, he kind of got exposed. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, like you're saying, though, the Angels are, everybody's competing this year, right? I mean, maybe, right. After watching the Tigers this weekend, I'm kind of wondering why they're not competing, because they gave the Red Sox a good, well, not this weekend. This week, they gave a pretty tough battle. But, I don't think anybody can be counted out. So, I mean, I'm sure we can talk a little bit. You mentioned Garcia replacing Louis Robert. It's what are the Angels going to do? I think is this now Joe Odell? Does Joe Odell start out hot and he comes back up? What are the Angels going to do to replace? At this point, they do need to replace him because Walsh was in the outfield. I mean, Brendan Marsh probably isn't ready yet, so it'll be interesting to see what the Angels do. I think they'd like Odell to come up and take the spot, but maybe they want to give him a week or two on the farm. Finally, we can say that again. On the farm to get confidence or whatever.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, I think the alternate site still exists in its own realm somewhere, but
not in my keyboard. It doesn't.
Yeah, I'm glad to have actual minor league games and affiliates back in action. The classic Outsiders wrestling tee. The Kevin Nash Scott Hall wore. They should make one RotoWare. Here's a free RotoWare $1 million idea. Altsighters.
Ooh, there we go.
That's horrible, but
that our late friend Steve Moore used to write The Outsider for RotoWire.
Oh, nice.
That was his name of his column, The Outsider. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway,
that was a great one. By the way, it was Juan Lagares out and left yesterday. Taylor Warden right. So,
like I said,
yeah, maybe an opening for Adele or Marsh. We'll see. But other pickups from the Stake League, Daniel Lynch. Again, I thought I kind of just had this as a keep him honest bid, and it was another lesson. And just put in bids every week. Don't miss out, because you never know when one of your keep him honest bids will hit. And I thought this was it. Now his first career start, Daniel Lynch, more walks than strikeouts. He had 4 walks, only 3 Ks, 4 2/3 innings. But I think if there's another big start this weekend, Todd, he could be a Fabapalooza type guy. But let me just be sure they did not send him down. No, I thought maybe there's an outside chance they could send him down for a fresh arm, but
right,
it hasn't happened yet.
Weren't a couple of the walks early, and then he kind of settled down?
Yeah, I thought, generally he looked pretty good from what I saw. I mean, I didn't watch the full start, but I thought,
right,
from what I saw,
aside from
typical command, it was okay.
Yeah, typical jitters early, 6'6", tall, lanky kid. The whole mechanics being repeated will be necessary, but I don't think you call him up and start the clock. Or whatever clock you're starting on Lynch, obviously you can send him back down, but for a spot start, I think he could be around for a little bit. And let's see. Well, they sent Jake Judas down to the bullpen, just trying to figure out if there's a spot. But that would be it. I mean, other than the fact that Brad Keller is still pitching pretty horribly, everybody else is pretty entrenched in the Duffy, who's quite a story, right? I mean,
yeah,
gave up a couple runs and tripled his ERA. Like I said, Keller's not good. Singer's getting there, Minor. So it does look like the spot is Lynch's. Irvin Santana, they're not going to be using him. Junis, like we said, maybe we'll find a spot out of the bullpen. I think this is the only team we have 4 closers listed, more than healthy relievers.
Yeah. I think Reds are kind of in that same situation. I think we have 4 guys listed, but KC's been weird with that sense. It does seem like Stalmont's kind of wrestling it away now, but for a while there, yeah, it was completely up for grabs.
I think KC is kind of doing what the Padres did in that they expect to compete a little bit down the road, but they're starting to compete a little bit earlier, and they've got a lot of good young pitching, so they're not accelerating Lacy or Coar. They took another good pitcher in Lynch, and the Padres kind of did that with Paddock amongst others, although he kind of earned his way in the squad. They left some of the guys ahead of them on the farm still to mature, but did bring up one of their starters. It's kind of emulating what the Padres did. Of course, the Padres brought up an outstanding young shortstop. If the Royals only had one of those too, huh?
Yeah, Bobby. Well, they got a couple. One on the IL, one on the farm.
Yeah, no. That's
Bobby Witt,
tongue in cheek with Witt. Yeah. We'll see what he needs to do. But as you mentioned, Mondesi, been monitoring him. Looks like another week, right?
Yeah, I mean, and
I say that positively, not like a bad. I mean, only
close.
Another week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You got to love that. I have him in a few draft and holds, nearing rehab assignment as of Monday, according to GM Dayton Moore. So that's huge, yeah. Because steals are, I mean, somebody, I forget who it was. I think it was maybe on this podcast. I apologize to who was making this point. Maybe it was Fred Zinke. But the teams that are running are actually some of the better teams in baseball, like the Royals. Like, the Royals have been running and they're a winning team right now. And with the offensive environment being what it is, home runs are up generally historically, but the overall offensive environment's depressed. I wonder if maybe we'll see teams start running a little more generally.
A little bit. Jason Collette wrote a piece a couple weeks ago on teams that are running a lot and defending the run. The research I've done in this area shows that teams that are successful running early, and successful meaning the 75% threshold for when sabermetrically it's worth running and not giving up the outs. Teams that run successfully early continue to run. Teams that don't run successfully early, they stop running, with a few exceptions. To me, Detroit's going to be one of those exceptions. They run off the bus. Milwaukee's picking it up a little bit this year. But there are some teams that will pick it up, some teams that won't pick it up, and they just have to learn the teams that don't care. And I think Detroit's in that mode, although they're kind of successful running right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, Detroit definitely the exception there. Maybe it was on our buddy Ian Kahn's podcast and Derek Van Riper and Nando DeFino, Under the Radar. Maybe it was that one. I forget which one, but somebody was making a good point that the teams that are running most stolen bases, Padres, Cubs, Royals, Rangers, running a lot, which is kind of weird. But I don't know. I just A's or fifth, so it feels like maybe there is a little bit of a edge to be gained by being aggressive and stealing a bag every now and then, because runs are hard to come by right now in the majors. Jake Mariznick was picked up for 3 behind my $4 Lynch ad. It did love getting Lynch. It did kind of box me out on catchers, so I might have to make a deal before lineup lock. Maybe trading Stephen Crichton, who I'm not even using in an active spot. I'm trying to catch up on Ks and wins. Hyun-Jong Yang is kind of interesting. He struck out 8 across 3.1 innings. We don't know, he only threw 66 pitches in that outing, but had 15 swinging strikes. So don't know exactly if he's going to continue to start, but Hyun-Jong Yang is kind of interesting for Texas. Harold Ramirez picked up Yusmeiro Petit in a 16-team league. Solid pickup, I think. Then Garrett Richards, you kind of were talking about last week. Did you end up starting him anywhere?
Yeah. wherever I had him, I don't remember if I picked him up or not, because I think he was probably gone. But no, I had him in a couple DCs. No, I played him, and he came through. I mean, he seemed to come through. I don't think he has 2 this week, but he did come through last week.
Yeah, it looks at Texas. I mean, typically you look at that as kind of a layup, and he made that layup.
Right.
5 innings, only 1 earned run, 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks. So that's a positive step forward for Richards. I actually did have him as a back up kind of on my waterfall of priorities, but I ended up getting Mike Fultonevich as a $0 ad, dropping John Gantz. I think Fulte lines up for 2. I don't know if I'm going to have the stomach to start him, though. Scary guy to have. Then Nick Gordon picked up. Good for Nick Gordon, swiping a few bags. I know the need for speed is there, but I don't know if, in mixed leagues, I'm going to be looking at Nick Gordon myself quite yet.
Yeah, his prospect shine faded in a big way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has. I mean, you can't call him a post hype guy because he never gained to the majors yet. But his prospect shine faded. He is 25. Well, I guess he did. No, he did. He came up and then went back down. But who's he going to play for? I don't. Not so much. I know he's playing for Minnesota, but I don't know where the playing time is. Kind of sporadic at this point. And didn't he actually get some of the steals coming in a pinch running aspect? So let's see. Well, with Louis Arias on the disabled list is probably why we're seeing a little bit of Gordon there.
Yeah, concussion IL for Arias.
Yeah. So that's kind of why, and obviously with Kirilloff out as well.
It's kind of scary. It sounds like he's going to see a specialist.
Yeah.
That's not great, especially after that hot start he got off to. Going to Dayton, go Flyers. That's my hometown, Dayton. He's going to go there to see a specialist. So that's scary. He's already on the IL. So.
Yeah, he started out really slow. The Twins showed some patience.
And then he went crazy hot.
Yeah, I did a piece this week on exit velocity on fly balls and in power, and he's just crushing in that area, literally and figuratively. So it is kind of a shame to see him out at this point.
Well, we will get into next week's 2 starters momentarily, but I will take a break to throw to a word from our sponsors, and we are now back. It's a little weird to do that live, but on the recorded version, it'll make sense. So if you go to our projected starters grid at rotowire.com, rotowire.com/try for a 10-day trial. If you do not have a subscription, you can see all of our work for yourself. No credit card required. If you decide at that point that you want to sign up, great. We will not automatically charge you. Of course, all of this information is tentative, so be sure to follow the grid and be sure to check out Todd's weekly pitcher rankings for updated information. And again, these are tentative, so you'll want to check to be sure before starting any of these players in your active lineup. But we'll get started with Luke Weaver. I ended up dropping him. I picked him up a few weeks back thinking I was maybe sneaky. Thankfully, I avoided the damage that came with him. But, yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, 6 earned runs over 4 innings at Miami. Home start against Colorado, you think that'd be great. He only went 4 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. As many walks as Ks in that outing. So it hasn't been good. Again, I dropped him in one league, and I don't think I'll be looking to add him. So I'll probably give him maybe a nice complimentary 1 just to be nice to him. But that's about as far as I'll go on Luke Weaver.
You're a nice guy. I'm not touching him.
Todd 0. Okay. Again, I'll be tracking these, and then we'll recap at the end of the show. Madison Bumgarner, maybe I got to take the L here, although his ERA is still 4.91, but he's been pitching a lot better. Of course, had that 7-inning no-hitter. One of, if you count that, one of 4 already this season. That's just crazy. Congrats to John Means. I got to take the big L on John Means. I mean, miniature L on Bumgarner here, I guess. But I just did not see Means as a guy who, in that division, you'd want to be starting very frequently.
Yeah, Means has been interesting in that originally it was all it's luck. The strikeouts, he's not striking anybody out. Well, one way to combat regression is to get better, and that's what he's done. And I don't know if he's done yet growing or if this is what we're going to see. I think he's still maturing as a pitcher. I think at this, you have to cap him maybe a little bit because of the division. But I think he's shown. He's more dominant than we thought he'd be, and he never really walked anybody to begin with. So I think what we're seeing is real, and he's going to be a top 10 guy for me this week. He's one of those literally, fives, but we don't consider him an ace, so we give a 4 out of respect. Yeah, that's where he's going to be with it. I mean, I know he's got a couple of tough teams in both New York teams, although, well, the Yankees are turning it on. The Mets still haven't gotten in the groove yet. I think they will, but that's a weird double dip facing both New York teams, although one's on the road and one's at home.
I may be seeing a little something different than you for Bumgarner, or you're talking Means. Okay,
I'm on Means. Bumgarner.
No, I'm sorry.
We're back.
I confused myself.
Okay. Bumgarner. He's going to be a somewhere between a 3 and a 4. Do I go out and do I give him? I'm going to give him the 4. I think he deserves the 4.
I am totally sorry for that. That was all me. You're talking about Means, and you're right. John Means does have the New York 2-step. John Means. We'll get to him in his grade momentarily. But
we're not morning people, folks.
I'm really not. I'm trying to chug this coffee.
I'm really not either, but that's all right. Yes, but
I did mark John Means down as a 4, but I did jump the gun.
Oh no, so Bumgarner. So Bumgarner's the guy that I'm giving the 4 to.
Okay.
Well, I'm giving the 4 to both, but anyway.
I'll give Means a 4, even though, like I said, like those are the kind of matchups, even though at the Mets isn't scary at all, but versus the Yankees preseason, that was the kind of matchup that I looked at and was like, how could you feel confident deploying him, a lefty, against that lineup? But now, 4-0, 1.37 ERA, coming off a no-hitter. You're pretty much looking at him as an every week starter now for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Bumgarner versus Miami versus Washington. I'm going to have to give him a 4-2. Just pitching a lot better than I thought he was capable of at this point in his career. We'll see if it's sustainable, but I think this is a pretty nice 2-step. Maybe the Nats have Soto back. I'm going to have to activate Soto, by the way, in some leagues. Still wondering about next week for him, though, if he's going to be able to play the field. So for Atlanta, Max Fried versus Toronto at Milwaukee. Not the easiest lineups for a lefty, although Milwaukee kind of decimated right now. This kind of scares me for Fried. 8.44 ERA. I don't really know what's wrong with Max Fried. I'm probably going to give him a 3, but maybe maybe we should say 2 to just warn people off. But if I drafted Max Fried, I feel like I have to start him.
Yeah, well, I think it's the fact I think he was overdrafted is it's neither here nor there at this point. Once you're drafted, you're drafted. But I believe in that comment because I'm the one. I believe in you start your players and not wait till they get hot, because now you've missed 2 of the starts that get the numbers back to where you need them. I'm gonna go with 2 because I think my baseline maybe a little bit lower on Fried, and he's done nothing to change my mind. With the caveat, I could get burned on that. He can go out and throw 2 gems.
Yeah, it looks like his xFIP's actually lower than it was last season. Home runs have been a major problem. So if you regress that back to the mean, everything else looks pretty good. K to walk looks pretty strong. Let's see about his velo holding steady. He was never like a super hard thrower. It's actually his slider velo's up 2 ticks. I don't know what's been exactly the issue here for Max Fried. His swing strike rate's up 13.6%. It's not bad. CSW is 30.6%. That's up. Strange. I'm going to stick by a 3, but I got you down for a 2.
That's fine. And I could be, like I said, I'm probably wrong. I'm going more by memory, watching him pitch, and he just didn't look comfortable early on in the season. So, but as the numbers guy, hearing you with those numbers, I'm a little bit more confident, but even so.
I hear you. Now we got Means down for a 4 for next week. What about Jorge Lopez? Any reason to even, is he a 0? I think I'm going to give him a 0.
Yeah, the key is just remembering which Lopez it is. Because, there's a couple good ones and a couple not so good ones. He's not so good.
Yeah, that's always something you got to keep in mind. You don't want to bid on the wrong player. Now, for the Boston Red Sox, your Boston Red Sox, Martin Perez, Nathan Eovaldi. Martin Perez 0-2, but pitching capably as a back-end starter so far. At Baltimore for him, part of a wraparound, and then versus LAA, and then for Eovaldi, it's versus Oakland versus LAA. So Martin Perez kind of tough for me to trust, but I'll give him I'll give him like a Luke Weaver 1. Maybe he's more deserving. Maybe he's better than Luke Weaver, but I don't know that for sure.
Right. Well, I had Weaver 0. I'm having a Perez as a 1, so he's clearly better.
So I got a 1 and you got a 1 on Perez, but you got a 0 on Weaver. What about Eovaldi? Is he in that 3 range?
I think he's higher than 3. He's not a 5. I mean, he showed with his last game that I think it was even yesterday that, as well as he's pitched, he's still not a stud. Occasionally runs into some issues, and they did yesterday. To me, that's a 4. I mean, it's a 4. I mean, Oakland and LA both hit writers pretty well. They're both at Fenway Park. Knock on wood, we'll be warming up a little bit next week. But to me, he's earned a 4.
All right, I feel a little hesitant, maybe because I have a lower baseline on him,
right?
Than you do. But I think this could be okay. But yeah, running into Ohtani and Trout and the like, they just never know. And Oakland, as you mentioned, they play their platoon games pretty well and match up okay. So yeah, I'll give him a 3, but maybe I'm a little lower.
That's fine. That's why we're here. I mean, if we agreed, we wouldn't be a podcast.
Absolutely. Now the Cubs have 2 off days next week, but it looks like maybe they skip somebody and go with Alzolay. Alzolay, I think is the correct pronunciation. I'll look that up. But at Cleveland, at Detroit would be pretty nice if he gets it.
Yeah, his strikeouts are he's intriguing. So I'm gonna go. I don't know. I'm gonna go 3 with him, and he's someone I'm kind of monitoring for someone to not a John Means type step forward, but someone who's capable of becoming a mainstay in a rotation.
I'm gonna give him a 2, but I'll get you down for a 3.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I like him. I do think he's interesting. I just don't quite have him in that grouping where I feel pretty solid about him. And we don't know that it's going to be a 2. So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So picking him up is, I wouldn't pick him up unless we're sure it's a 2 start because of that, because I don't think you want to use him for 1. But if he does get 2, I kind of like him in the middle there. And at Cleveland, at Detroit, I know they're on the road, which hurts a little bit, but it looks like it's kind of a nice pair to be facing.
Looks like his pronunciation is not on Baseball Reference, but I feel like I saw a tweet that said the end of his last name is pronounced Lie, so I'm going to go Alzolay for now.
It's interesting, too, that it's got two. The Cubs have 2 interleague matchups next week. So I know there's only 5 games that you mentioned, but they get to use their DH for the entire week. I wonder who would actually, unless maybe it's a chance to get Ian Happ in the lineup without having to play in the field. We'll see.
Yeah, Ian Happ's been pretty bad. I was thinking about dropping him even.
Well, he was just starting to turn it on, and then it wasn't even concussed. It turned out that he has a hurt rib colliding with, I think, Nico Horner. But I've been on Happ all year. He was just starting to get it together. So maybe if he doesn't play, or maybe he will play this weekend, but just saying, if he's still just a little bit hurt, maybe he can hit next week. And although 5 games, you're probably not going to start him because he only has 5 games.
That's true. The Reds have 7 at Pittsburgh and then at Colorado next week. Jeff Hoffman, he was pitching pretty well early, but I did think it was kind of a house of cards, and he has been not so good in his most recent outing. 7 earned runs, over 6 1/3 in his last 2 starts, 7 Ks against 6 walks over those last 2 outings. And the at Colorado essentially wipes him off. But I'll maybe give him a 1 because maybe in an NL only I could maybe see it.
0? I can't. No, I can't see it. I can't see it.
I hear you. I mean, at Pitt's pretty tempting, so I could see it in NL again, maybe. But Sonny Gray, that at Colorado scares me. I still think he's probably a 4.
Yeah, and I'm not. I mean, normally, I'm not happy about the at Colorado, but he's impressing me. And I know he had a little bit of rough go, a little bit of an injury there. He's one of these pitchers that is taking advantage of the league inability to catch up to 2 seamers high in the zone. Whoever thought we'd be talking about 2 seamers high in the zone as an out pitch? But that's the way pitchers are getting combating the uppercut swing. And I think he needs to continue to refine and get the control a little bit better using the new distribution there. But I think he will. He impressed me by the eye. So I'm worried about Colorado, but not nearly as worried because Colorado's not very good.
Yeah, they really aren't, man. And not a 5, but even though he's 0-2, Gray, I've been encouraged generally by what I've seen from Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
Especially after the back issue kind of maybe didn't linger, but there was a little bit of a recurrence of the back issue early on this year. Now, Shane Bieber, an easy 5, and it sounds like on your initial run of your weekly pitcher rankings, he's going to be the top dog.
Yeah, I like to see who's number one. Who's number one is Shane Bieber. Okay, that makes sense. Who's the very last one? Chichi Gonzalez. Yep, I think it makes sense.
So the algorithms are all right.
Yeah, I didn't. I when I pasted the data in, I pasted over the right columns.
The algorithms will be all right.
Yeah.
So for Colorado, that was a horrible joke. I was trying to go for like the kids will be all right, but that was just bad. For Colorado, Senzatella, John Gray versus San Diego I'll put them down, but it's just easy zeros.
Ray's been crushing it at home, but that's not something you can count on, you know?
Yeah, that's not bankable.
You know, exactly. Yeah. It's notable, but I don't, does that make him a 1? Maybe, but I'm kind of with you that I don't think I would. To me, it's a trap.
Mm-hmm. Same. Now, Dylan Cease, he's been fantastic. He just carved the Reds up. I have to admit, I turned that game off because I had a Zoom meeting with the company and something else going on, a prospect podcast. So I wasn't really watching it closely. I did have it on in the background for a while, but I didn't see a ton of it. And then ends up with 11 Ks, over 6 scoreless for Dylan Cease. Somebody asked me on Twitter if I'd take Shane McClanahan or Cease, and at first I said McClanahan, then he got pulled and didn't get a chance at a win. Then I looked back and I'm like, man, Cease has been really, really strong. The command still scares me, but I guess I have to bite the bullet and say this is another arm that I was wrong on.
Well,
which I'm fine to do. I'm wrong.
I understand that, but the point being wrong is, he's got all the potential. He just hadn't put it together yet. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that it's wrong to want to see it before you trust it. Sure. He's going to have his stands who are going to go out there and be willing to invest without seeing it. And you've got your guys, I've got my guys that we do that with. Yeah. And it just Cease was I'm from Missouri, show me first, and he's showing me. Now, the only bad part about both of these starts is they're not interleague, so he's not going to get to hit. How about that? Hasn't swung a bat since high school and gets 3 knocks. Yeah,
I think that was why I initially
I still don't want pitch. These stories are fun. I still would rather watch a DH Club 3 homers than take 10 seconds out of a podcast to say that was cool. But anyway, there have been people that have been on Cease and saying they expect this kind of a breakout for a long time. So I don't think it's a surprise, but I don't think we're wrong to want to see it. I'm going to give him. I got him ranked around a 3, but I want to see if I need to adjust his baseline any, which may bring him to the 2 range. But I'm going to call it a tentative 3 right now.
I'm going to give him a 3-2 versus Minnesota versus KC, 2 home starts for Dylan Cease. I'm going to give him that too. And man, I think you made a good point. Like, I don't always need to see it before I invest, but with a guy like Cease, I just thought there was too much downside.
Right.
Given the lack of command. But if you hit on him, congrats to you. Some people were absolutely on him and are profiting right now. And if you're among those, props to you. But I was scared, but the stuff has always been there. And it seems like he's been able to rein it in and get better command of that arsenal quicker than I expected. Casey Mize versus Kansas City versus the White Sox. I've been generally encouraged by what I've seen from Mize. I don't think I could put him in the 3 tier, though, so I'm going to give him a 2.
Cubs or White Sox? I've got Cubs.
Did I say White Sox? I meant Cubs.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
That's good. That's you said 2?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to agree with you on the 2. Just I think he can go out and spin 2 gems, and he's still capable of getting lit up. But I do like what I'm seeing from him as far as it was one of the top picks in the draft. So of course we're not breaking any ground here. And some people may think he's a little slow to develop, and I think that's fine. But I'm going to go 2 here. And I look at that Cubs, and I still think that at one point they're just going to wake up and punish the opposing pitcher. Just hasn't happened yet.
Well, Chris Bryant's been doing that.
Talk about
he's not the only one.
Yeah, talk about needing to take an L. He's the guy I need to take the L on. If we're taking our L's, I'm wrong about Bryant. I mean, I
don't have him many spots either. I do have him in TGFBI, but
it wasn't even that I was avoiding. I did not like what I saw with the numbers. I did not expect to bounce back. His, I know StatCast numbers aren't everything. I'm kind of the one leading that parade as far as hard hit and everything else. It could be misleading in terms of batting average, but even in terms of power, I didn't like what I was seeing. He's reversed that trend. He's not getting lucky with homers. He's hitting the ball harder and in the air, and it's leaving the yard.
Yeah, you and Jeff Zimmerman have been leading that trend on Twitter. It is, the StatCast numbers are great and they're so easy to fall in love with, but more descriptive than predictive, and that was kind of what they're meant for.
And not even it's not even so much. Some of them aren't even descriptive.
Yeah,
they people think they're descriptive. People think that the red means good, but red levers mean he's going to hit for high batting average, but it doesn't. So you're right that it's not. Part of it is a descriptive nature, but part of it, people think they're describing things that they aren't. So anyway,
that's a good point. Now for Houston, Lance McCullers, I'm going to give him a 4, but on the other side, Luis Garcia is an interesting case because we have him tentatively lined up for 2, but it sounds like Jake Odorizzi heading for a rehab assignment pretty soon. So we don't know exactly. So that's tough to grade for Luis Garcia, but we talked a little bit about him last week and having that kind of convoluted, wonky wind-up where looks like he was doing the Macarena or something, line dancing, forward, back, forward, high punch, which is Mortal Kombat fatality, I think. But at the same time, I do really like the skills. So while he's tough to grade, I'm going to give him a 2 just so that you hold on to him. McCullers at 4. Yeah.
Yeah, McCullers are going 4. I'm going from memory. I should look up the numbers. I don't think he's going as deep into games as I would like. Yeah, Garcia, the numbers grade out well, but you said a 2?
Mm-hmm.
LA and Texas. I know Texas. I know LA sneakily hits righties good. I'm going to go with 3 there, but like you said, we need to make sure he's going to get the 2. I'm not so sure that he's not better than Odorizzi at this point. But
yeah, he might.
I think
he should have a spot.
Yeah, I think Odorizzi. It's tough to say things like this because these games count, but I think he deserves a chance to show if he can get back. I'm not confident that he can. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of weird to say that. If you think he's going to stink, then he shouldn't be in there. But I think he deserves to show he stinks. But that means Houston loses 2 games and makes it harder to win the division. I know that's kind of, again, not a morning person, folks. But I'm with you in that keep Garcia on the radar.
Yeah, that rotation's pretty good. Christian Javier has been fantastic.
Yes.
And I just think you got a pretty good one in Garcia too. Maybe you just turn him loose in the rotation, let him be. But Javier has been a big win. And I was taking some L's. I'll take a lap on Garcia here. So be but 3-0 with a 1.75 ERA. He's been fantastic versus Texas. That's what you want. Home start against that team. Brady Singer, he got into it with Angel Hernandez. Angel Hernandez, man, it's just such a bummer that he's so cozy. You can just get away with this stuff. At Detroit, though, for Singer. At the White Sox, hopefully he will avoid Angel Hernandez here this week. I love this 2-step. I'm going to give Singer a 4.
I'm with you. Yep, definitely with you.
He's very solid, although the numbers aren't quite there yet, but I think they will be there. Now, before we finish up here today, a word from our sponsor, Moon Baseball Road Trips. Moon Baseball Road Trips, the complete guide to all the ballparks with beer, bites, and sites nearby, arriving just in time for the 2021 season. This brand new from Moon Travel Guides book is the ultimate guide to baseball. This book is as much a travel guide as it is a dive into the classic American road trip, vibrant fan communities, baseball history, and of course, the 30 incredible MLB cities. 7 road trip routes with detailed itineraries. It's organized by region, so you can drive a loop through the Midwest, cruise along the West Coast, or hit the ballparks from Boston to D.C. Insider advice for visiting each ballpark, so not just how to catch a game, but tips on snagging tickets, securing the best seats, and the insider scoop on the best bars and restaurants nearby. This insider scoop comes from author and lifelong baseball fan Timothy Malcolm. He's served as a senior writer and editor at Phillies Nation, written stories for the Hardball Times, and has been featured on Mets Blog and Yahoo Big League Stew. He's also hosted 2 baseball podcasts himself, including the Phillies Nation podcast. To write this book, Tim hit the road and explored everything from Boston to Seattle to Phoenix and the Bay, bringing the experience of the game to readers across the world. For the ultimate baseball experience this summer, order your copy of Moon Baseball Road Trips, available at online retailers, your local bookstore, or at www.moon.com. Todd, back to the 2-start pitchers for the week of May 10th, 2021. Angels, we can skip over because a day off and a 6-man rotation. For the Dodgers, they have 2 off days, but maybe they go Trevor Bauer. Maybe they give him, well, he would be on normal rest, but maybe they just use those off days. And with the injuries they have, and Gonson still a little ways off, it would make sense to give Bauer 2, and that'd be an easy 5.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I do think that they did, if Kershaw hadn't only pitched an inning and therefore he would be the first one brought back after the doubleheader, they could have used Bauer for 2 games on 4 days rest and not had to worry about Gonsolin until the 17th is when he's kind of ready to be back. So I am curious. I do think that the Dodgers can maneuver things to not need a 5th guy until Tony Gonsolin's ready by taking advantage of Bauer on 3 or 4 days rest, on 3 days rest if it works out, but we'll see how it is. But these two home games, Seattle, Miami, I mean, I have Bieber ranked ahead of him, but Bauer could just as easily be the top pitcher this week.
As of May 2nd, Tony Gonson was said to be 3 to 4 weeks away. He needed to build up to 5 innings and 75 pitches.
Yeah,
that according to Bill Plunkett of the Orange County Register. Is he in leagues where he's still available? Should he be a top priority ad? Tony Gonson? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I think his skills, I was all over him before he lost out on that rotation spot. That kind of hurt. But.
Yeah, just temper expectations early. But, I mean, he sounds like he's going to have a rotation spot. So, absolutely. Now, you need – I think it's maybe a month before – at this point, before we see, a 5 1/3, 6 inning sort of performance where you get what you're going to want. But absolutely, if you can stash a guy for a month, it's like stashing a prospect you think is going to come up.
By the way, we had a commenter wondering about Cease versus Mize or Mats for next week. That's an interesting one. I think I'd say Mats, but let me just look at Mats's matchups here. Just taking a quick break. Don't want to leave him hanging. Versus Philly, I just think Mats has pitched so well that he's come back to earth.
He started to get his comeuppance now.
He really has.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go Cease.
Okay, yeah, maybe so.
But I'm gonna put a
Cease probably is the way to go, especially with the way things are trending.
So Cease, Mats, and who was the other one?
Mize.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Cease.
Yeah, I will too. Mize is 2, Cease is 3.
We have Mats for 1 right now, right?
Yeah. Yep. I just think he means generally, for the rest of the season. Mats was pitching so well. I think season, now I would take Cease.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I don't. Depending on the size of the league, I'm not. I don't. Credit our friend colleague Vlad Sedler for this, but I don't. When I see rest of the season, are you really going to the rest of the season right now? I think you have to. I think you could think long term, but I don't know that you want to think rest of season for anybody between injury and I think you always want to look to upgrade. So
he didn't say rest of season, by the way. He said Mize, Cease over Mize or Matz, so I just figured because Matz isn't a 2-start starter. But you're right that you should have a narrow focus. Should be focused on the short term.
Yeah, we both get enough of these questions in general. Who do you want rest of, even in a trade? I want the person I think's going to play for the next month, right? And then you kind of worry about it afterwards.
Now for Miami, Daniel Castano, I'm going to go 0, but for the other 2-start starter for them, Pablo Lopez, still doesn't have a win, but that really isn't a reflection on how he's pitching. He's been fantastic. So I'm going to give him a 4. He's just not quite in that 5 range, and the second one is at the Dodgers. But that first part at Arizona is really nice, and I'd love the skills. So I'm going to go Pablo Lopez 4, Castano 0. Does that sound right to you?
No, I agree. I mean, the 0 wins obviously is a bit fluky. You talk about the Dodgers, you think they're going to snap out of their malaise, but they've been one of the worst teams in one-loss record-wise. Take away that 16-run outburst against the Brewers. Actually, you're a Reds fan. Never mind. 16-run outputs against the Brewers. Then I forget which team it was against. In my head, I kind of juxtapose them. Dodgers just have not played well lately. Yeah, Lopez, easily a 4.
Now, Freddie Peralta finally ran into a little bit of a bump in the road. He had been cruising until he went at Philly and gave up, 5 spot in 4 innings. Still struck out 8. Over his first 28 innings of the season, he had a 2.25 ERA, an even 1.00 WHIP, a 45 to 14 K to walk. I think he's more that guy than the guy we saw most recently. Let me turn back to the page. Versus St. Louis, versus Atlanta. I'm going to give Freddie Peralta a 4, I think.
Now I'm going to give him a 4, and I am going to, and whether or not we're beginning to see this, you kind of mentioned kind of rough go. To me, he's the type of guy that could get a little exposed once teams see him multiple times over the course of the season. Right? Last year, we only played the Central, and he only saw the Central. So once some of these East and West teams begin to see him a couple times, and I know you don't play them that much, so maybe it's not going to matter, but I do think that this is the time to use him when he's still kind of, I don't know, the little bit of deception, he can get away with it better earlier in the season.
Yeah, now Atlanta not really clicking on all cylinders right now. So that, Ronald Acuna scares me and Freddie Freeman, but the rest of that lineup, not as much. I guess the Big Bear's coming around. Ozuna finally doing a little something.
Yes, yeah.
Now for Minnesota, J Happ. What a start for him. At the White Sox versus Oakland. The matchups, I think maybe we see a little J Happ regression, but I think, that's obvious, but I still think it could be a pretty soft landing from that regression. So I'm going to give Happ probably a 4.
Yeah, I know that, the sort of a side theme of the show's become, take the L. Give me the L. Give me the L on Happ. I know he was getting out in New York and maybe helping out as far as the fly balls and home runs go. He's just pitched a lot better than I thought he would. I agree with the 4 and kind of regret kind of categorically dismissing him whenever he came up in a draft for me.
2 off days next week for the Mets, so we'll see about them. We'll also see about Jake Degrom.
Someone could argue that the Mets have had off days all, and never mind. Bad joke.
They have been. I've been shocked at how bad Frankie Lindor has. I wonder if. I just think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. I think he'll be just fine, but yeah, he's been brutal.
We say just fine, and then factor in the fact that Citi Field is a lot harder place to hit. Dimensions and factor wise than Progressive. And May has been historically his best month. That usually doesn't mean anything, but if anything, it means if he doesn't have if he doesn't turn it on, there's something to be concerned. There is concern. And the other thing, do you ever wonder if switch hitters? That's 2 different players. So I think that sometimes switch hitters may even take long. They have to get 2 swings going, right?
Yeah,
so sometimes I wonder, when they're going, it helps, right? You get the platoon edge both ways. But sometimes I wonder if a switch hitter gets off to a slump, he now has to fix 2 things. And it may be twice, because get out of the cage. We want to take some batting practice too, Frankie. Well, lefty Frankie hit. It's righty Frankie's turn. So we'll see.
I just wanted to mention that Jake Degrom did play catch as expected yesterday, in line to start Sunday against the Diamondbacks, assuming all goes well. But I know I have him in a few leagues, and I'm a little nervous. You're
saying this coming you're talking about this week,
Sunday.
right?
Yeah,
right. So we'll have a lot more information on next week. I mean, if he doesn't go if he can't go and doesn't go to Monday or Tuesday, he's suddenly a 2-stepper, right?
True. We'll see. Now, Jordan Montgomery was not a guy I was really on in draft season, but a lot of really smart people were, and it hasn't been a great start for him at Tampa Bay, at Baltimore. Pretty decent 2-step, but I got to put him in the 3 bucket, I think, and maybe that's generous.
I'm going to go 3 in that he's not going far enough into games for me to go 4, but I think he can pitch a 5 solid innings, and then they get rid of him. But so for that reason, I'm going to give him a 3.
Now, Chase Anderson at not the White Sox, at Washington, then at Toronto, which will still be in Dunedin, but it sounds like they're moving up to Buffalo pretty soon, right? They're playing their last game in Dunedin maybe around this.
I think they're starting in June. I think they start. Yeah, they start the first series in June. Is when they go to back to Salem Field. The renovated Salem Field.
Yeah, further renovated. I can't go Chase Anderson. So I'm going to go 0 there. Any reason to bump him up into the positive numbers?
Not that I can make up.
Mitch Keller, another guy. You had some prospects pedigree, and James Anderson wasn't really on him, but some people liked him. The fastball has been entirely too hittable. 2-3 with a 6.29 ERA versus Cincinnati versus San Fran. Not terrible, but I think I got to give Mitch Keller 1.
I think that might be generous. Well, they're both at home. All right, I'm going to go in 1 because they're at home, and Pittsburgh's such a great place to pitch.
Now, JT Brubaker, shout out Shelly Verstrate, Eno Saris, and others. I've been happy with what I've gotten from Brubaker in a few leagues, and versus Cincinnati versus San Fran. I know Brubaker he took the L recently, but he consistently has the Ks even when he's taking losses on this team. He has 7 Ks in his last outing. That was a no decision, but then 7 Ks and a loss on April 30th. He only has 1 game with fewer than 5 strikeouts so far this season. So I'm actually kind of buying in on JT Brubaker. I think I'll give him a 3.
I guess I'm buying a little more. I'm going to go 4.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty lofty score for JT Brubaker.
Yeah.
A combined 7? Geez.
I think, probably. I think it's, as I mentioned with Anderson, it's the parks. It's the fact it's 2 home games. And Cincinnati and San Francisco, I mean, I don't think you're scared off by or incredibly happy to face either. They're kind of in the middle as far as offenses go, at least how they're playing. I think so. No, I agree with you that I like what I see from Brubaker. When we talk about him, mention this, and I was on him last year because there was talk of him being closer for the Pirates, and I needed a closer until Wars picked him up. Didn't do very well, but I've been, it's like if someone's going to be closer, you need to at least pay attention. It's kind of what this week's tout table is about, is asking everybody to give us minor leaguers to pay attention to. It's another selfish one because I want to know, because I don't know the minor leaguers, so I need to know who people are paying attention to. It's a great way to get guys. Yeah, well, I know. Great way to get guys in your radar.
We didn't mention him.
Yeah, exactly.
I already had him stashed in the stake league.
Where I have him is in a couple of late draft and holds or best ball, because I did them both late, when he kind of turned on at the end and you're looking for either the 42nd or 50th round, depending on what format it is. I was able to grab him at that point. But no, I'm a long-winded way of saying I like Brubaker.
Same. Now, not so much on the Ryan Weathers train anymore, because at Colorado and then versus St. Louis tentatively, but he came out of the bullpen his most recent outing. Only K'd 1 in 3 innings. His velo was way down the start before that. They said it was joint inflammation in his left arm. I like the skills. I mean, at 21 years old, he's got a really bright future. But I actually think, I was talking earlier about maybe dropping Ian Happ. I think in Tout Wars, to make room for Juan Soto, I think I actually will drop Ryan Weathers instead of Ian Happ, because while starting pitching is really valuable here, Ryan Weathers, I don't feel like his stock's going to be exploding anytime soon. I think there may be more struggles, more relief appearances, and just I don't know the state of his arm. So I'm going to give him a 1, and it's probably a drop in more traditional leagues. This is a head-to-head league I'm referring to, but I think in most leagues he's probably a drop for me.
Yeah, I can see where you would drop in head-to-head because, to be honest, I mean, you get to the playoffs, maybe he helps you get there, but I'm not so sure he's going to be a guy you trust in the playoffs in a head-to-head league as far as innings and the whatnot. So I'll give him a courtesy 1, but I mean, he could go 3 innings in both those games, and the ones at Colorado, you know what? I'm going to go 0. I don't even want to. I don't think I'm not going to drop him if I don't have to. But I'm with you that I'm not going to I'm not hesitant to do it if I need a player more. He's gone, but I'm not looking to replace him. But I'm not hesitant to drop him either.
Now, due to my own poor time management skills, we got to kind of rush through these guys.
Let's go.
But we will review all these at the end of the program here momentarily. Aaron Sanchez versus Texas at Pitt. I kind of like that. He's been okay. I'm actually going to give him a 3, I think.
I agree.
Okay.
How's that for a sweetie thing?
Yeah, keeping it moving. I love it. Kwang Hyun Kim at Milwaukee at San Diego. This is a tough one because you rewrote recently about Kim's uptick in K rate. Are you buying it?
Yeah, I'm buying it. I'm buying it to a 3 rating, if that matters.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of interested. Now, Ryan Yarborough, who spelled the end of Albert Pujols' tenure with the Angels, versus the Yankees versus the Mets.
He's the Yoko Ono of baseball, huh?
Yeah, I like that. Kind of a tough 2-step, and he hasn't been very good, although both are at home. So I'll give Yarborough a 3.
I'm going to agree with you. I don't have the same warm and fuzzy feeling about Yarborough that I've had. The Rays used to take him out before he got into trouble. He's getting into trouble and he's getting beat. So I'm a little concerned.
Man, it's Kyle Gibson and bordering on 5 for this 2-step. I'll give him a 4 for at San Fran, at Houston, but he's been fantastic. Yeah,
I'm with you there as well. And the strikeout rate took a tiny dip last year, but it's been on the rise. We think of Gibson pitch to contact, blah, blah, blah. He's become a solid inning, strikeout an inning guy. I agree.
Now, it's only fitting, I guess, on this show that we wrap up with me taking an L. And Robbie Ray, look, I just did not see it. Didn't see anything to hang your hat on. But look at this. Over his last 3 starts, 0 walks. 0.
Yeah, but look what else. He's been giving up home.
He does have 5 homers a lot of them.
Yeah, so, I'm not – you can take –
the trust in the stuff is definitely something new that has opened my eyes.
I think
being willing to challenge guys.
I think it could be another trap in that, you look at the walks and you overlook that he's still not doing the other stuff as well as we had hoped. I'm gonna give him a 3, but I'm impressed with the walks, but I don't think it's complete indication that we see a new guy because other stuff isn't coming along with it.
Yeah, I just didn't expect him to have this kind of run even in him. I'll be willing to take this L, but I'll give him a 3. I'll lap on Alek Manoah, King 12 in his AAA debut, but I'll take my L's too.
You have him in your AAA league?
Yeah, I have him in my AAA. Yeah, I could have used that outing at the big league level, and I could have used Jared Kellnick's 2 homers yesterday at the big league level. But so be it. Eric Fetty, that's a 0.
Well, he's one of the another increased strikeout guy. What are the I'm checking the matchups?
Versus Philly at Arizona.
I'm going to go 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to trust my methods. If I'm writing in a piece on RotoWire saying I like what I'm seeing, I better, if a 2's putting my money where my mouth is, to me he's a pickup. Of all the people we talked about and know we're running a long time, he is probably the top of my, if he's available, pick him up and use him list.
Nice. You have a good eye, because I just have Eric Fetty in my mind as,
Well, that was part of what I wrote about is you got to get rid of these.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about. I know, again, we're up against it, but that's why we look at certain filters to have names pop up that our brains may forget about.
Yeah, looking at his last 4 outings, Eric Fetty, he's gone 5+ in each of them. 22 to 8 K to walk in 21 innings. So, yeah, pretty encouraging. I'll bump him up from 0 to 1, but I got you down as a 2 for Eric Fetty.
Yeah.
So we will recap our 2-start pitcher grades for the week of May 10th, 2021, on a 0 to 5 scale. Luke Weaver, I got a 1. Todd 0. Madison Bumgarner 4. Max Fried, I got a 3. Todd 2. John Means 4. Jorge Lopez 0. Martin Perez 1. Nathan Eovaldi, I say 3. Todd 4. Adbert Alzolay, I say 2. Todd 3. Jeff Hoffman 1. Todd 0. Sonny Gray 4. Shane Bieber 5. Antonio Senzatella and John Gray 0s. Dylan Cease 3. Casey Mize 2. Lance McCullers Jr. 4. Luis Garcia, I say 2. Todd 3. Brady Singer 4. Trevor Bauer 5. Daniel Castano 0. Pablo Lopez 4. Freddie Peralta 4. J Happ 4. Jordan Montgomery 3. Chase Anderson 0. Mitch Keller 1. JT Brubaker, I say 3. Todd 4. Ryan Weathers, I say 1. Todd 0. Aaron Sanchez 3. Kwang Hyun Kim 3. Ryan Yarborough 3. Kyle Gibson 4. Robbie Ray 3. Eric Fetty, I say 1. Todd 2. Todd, anything else you want to mention today?
Man, I hope this time next week you're asking me to review the AAA park in Worcester, because I'm really hoping to go to the opener next Tuesday night.
That's great. I hope you have fun, man. Be safe and enjoy your time. Seeing some live baseball. I can't wait.
Oh.
I mentioned I was tempted to go down to see the Reds, drive down 6.5 hours, but just figured I got to get that second shot out of the way before I go sit in public with a bunch of strangers. I will play this little promo, and then we'll catch you guys next week on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.
Try RotoWire today, free for 10 days. Get our premium tools, rankings, analysis, and breaking news alerts. No credit card required. Go to rotowire.com/try.